Sure. Hi, I'm Rob G. I work with Continental Automotive Systems, and I'm the head of program management for our software and connected solutions.
Perfect. How you doing today, Rob? So, how has your team finessed non-disruptive alerts for non-safety critical events?
Sure. So when we look at activities within the vehicle, there's a lot regarding the infotainment and the HMI. And as we deal with this, and we also work in the active safety components as well, we have to determine the balance between what really deserves the attention from the consumer, from the driver, in order to balance those with the more driving critical, the more safety relevant activities there. So as we now start to provide this information, simpler is better, and we don't ever can't ever assume that the user is actually going to be reading a very complex manual, so it needs to be very intuitive. So the example that I'll bring in is with our B2X vehicles, which we've had for 9 years now.
Right.
Basically, we don't tell the people what's actually in the car. We just basically say, drive, follow the rules of the road, and go ahead.
Yeah.
And basically what we bring up is just very simple HMI. It's either graphical or a little bit of text or maybe a little bit of a countdown bar, only when that notification needs to be present. So beyond the multimedia elements, when you start to get into driving related HMI, these simple things that become intuitive and the person automatically reacts to, automatically understands, becomes key.
And that works well. I think so. I would see that. So, as far as when we talk about, disruptive alerts and, non-disruptive, what in your mind classifies a disruptive alert versus a non-disruptive, and how is that implemented into your autonomous vehicle, say, as if something is just a little more dangerous, would it be a more harsh sound? Or if something's just, hey, consider this, would it be more of a light tone?
Sure. So an example there is with things like our driver awareness vehicle, where we're looking at a 360-degree HMI. And what we've experimented with there is having different colors, different frequencies of the pulses, different chasing lights in order to give some sense of urgency, but a relative sense of urgency to the different alerts.
Right.
The same thing applies for the head unit and the heads-up displays and the cockpit displays. How do we now start to coordinate those displays so that certain minor things that might just be only infotainment related or only navigation related appear really on one screen or in the most appropriate area for that driver, but really when it starts to become a more critical alert, starting to scale that up and coordinating the multiple displays, the different elements of the HMI in the car in order to attract the attention and to get the driver's eyes and hands back on the wheel for that more disruptive event.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, so obviously when you're driving, you can't be lazy. Even in an fully autonomous vehicle, I'd say you probably still worry about if somebody is a little bit lazy and not, considering the hazards on the road. They're still traveling at high speeds, in a dangerous environment. What technologies have you developed so far that the driver remains engaged and, while driving in a self-driving car?
Well, part of it are things like what we're showing at the IA show with our holistic HMI. It's really starting to merge in using virtual reality and heads-up technologies, the outside world, what the person experiences and what they're seeing with what's occurring with the vehicle and what's occurring within the vehicle itself. So as the person's looking out, perhaps reading road signs, looking at the different billboards that are passing by, or noticing other objects that are moving in and out of the path, having the overlays that start to now tie in that outside world with the vehicle driving experience helps keep them more alert, helps bring them more into the experience of making sure that they are engaged with this moving vehicle.
Right.
So as we move toward more fully autonomous vehicles, as we move through the steps of highly automated first, being able to keep the driver's attention engaged so that they can take over when they need to is very important. And until we really reach that final stage of full autonomy,
Yes.
and where the driver really can be completely hands-off and mind-off the driving experience, until we get to that point, keeping that level of interaction is going to be very critical for us.
Perfect. Also, once a driver relinquishes that control, as far as going fully autonomous, what technologies are you excited about personally that create driver convenience, productivity, and entertainment?
Sure. So we do a lot on the infotainment to the multimedia side. And we're always looking for the next interesting functions, the next interesting applications. And the nice thing is, when we provide this information to the driver in the vehicle, some of it is, of course, driver selected and customized,
Right.
but a lot of how we present this to the driver can help them keep their alertness up so that they can re-engage when necessary. Having driver monitoring systems as well gives the option for our OEM customers to have a chance to understand where that driver's attention is focused. So if they're really focused toward the back, they need to bring their attention back to the front. What do we need to do? How do we need to change that HMI while allowing the HMI during the period of time that the car is autonomously driving to be as fully enjoyable as possible and fully productive as possible? So really becoming, in the future, the living room on wheels.
Wow, I like that. The living room on wheels. That's the header right there. So, where do you see autonomous vehicles in the future? And what do you think is their biggest hurdle right now to overcome?
Oh, easily. The biggest hurdle is really getting through those intermediate steps before we get to the fully autonomous vehicle. So the intermediate steps still involves the human interaction. And as the human actually starts to work less and less on the actual driving of the vehicle, we actually become less experienced. So if you think about the next generation of drivers coming up, if most of their time is spent in a highly automated vehicle, 90% of the time might not be spent actually driving, but actually just sitting in that car.
Right.
That basically means they're only getting 10% of the time as essentially driver training. So those of us who have grown up on manual vehicles where we're in control the entire time, we have a long period of experience and years and many hours of experience on this. What we're going to have to do now is, as these drivers start to become weaned through the higher levels of automation, how do we actually now make the driving experience interesting enough and relevant enough in order to prime the driver to be able to take over when they need to? And that's going to be the most difficult thing.
Okay, perfect. And what is that something that you look forward to the most as far as overcoming these conditions that are difficult right now in autonomous vehicles?
Oh, absolutely. So we're learning so much more from fields and industries like areas like psychology outside of automotive, starting to understand better how people think, starting to understand how they're influenced by their past experience,
right.
The priming aspects, the autonomy aspects that people do. So when you're driving on the freeway, you're just driving along and suddenly you realize you're a few miles down the road. You don't really know how you got there, but you automatically did the right thing.
Right.
So starting to understand how that human part of the human-machine interface ties in is critical for us for success as an industry,
yes.
But also an exciting new area because now it brings in so much more information than just purely automotive.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me today.
Great. Thank you very much.